You've probably heard it 100 times. Cut the carbs, carbs make you gain weight. Don't eat them at night. But what if I told you that for seniors, especially those over 65 living in Europe or North America, eating the right kind of carbs at the right time, especially before bed, can actually sharpen your memory and improve the quality of your sleep? I know that might sound like a contradiction, but this isn't about crash diets or trendy food myths. This is about something deeper, elderly wisdom passed down through generations, now backed by science. On Elderly Reflections, where we celebrate life lessons from the elderly and dive into senior health with real-world stories and research, we're going to talk about something most people overlook: how carbs can be a powerful tool for your heart, your brain, and your quality of rest. Because after 65, every little choice, every bite, every routine matters more than ever. Let me introduce you to George. George is a 70-year-old retired architect from Toronto. Brilliant mind, precise memory, and a reputation for remembering even the smallest details from decades ago. But over the past year, something changed. He began waking up at 3 a.m. every single night, wide awake, heart racing, mind unable to rest. His doctor suggested melatonin, but the pills left him groggy. He tried warm milk, breathing exercises, even guided meditation. Nothing stuck. Then, almost out of desperation, George returned to something simple, something his grandmother in Nova Scotia had always done after dinner: baked sweet potatoes. One small half, drizzled with olive oil, nothing fancy. Within 2 weeks, George was sleeping through the night again. Not just sleeping, resting in the deep, rejuvenating way we all need. So why sweet potatoes? They're more than comfort food. They're rich in potassium and magnesium, two minerals that help regulate the nervous system. But even more important, they're packed with complex carbohydrates that support the body's ability to produce and store serotonin and melatonin. That means they gently guide your body into the kind of sleep that repairs memory, balances mood, and lowers nighttime blood pressure. A 2014 study in the Journal of Medicinal Food confirmed that starchy root vegetables like sweet potatoes significantly improve sleep stability in older adults. And here's what's powerful: it's not about quantity. Just half a sweet potato with dinner can set the stage for a night of better sleep. That's not a diet, that's healing. Now let's shift focus from sleep to memory. Meet Eileen. She's 76, a retired librarian from Cardiff, Wales. Her entire life revolved around words, reading them, organizing them, teaching children to love them. But about a year ago, she started losing words mid-sentence, forgetting the names of her favorite authors, feeling foggy in the morning, like her mind was running on low battery. Her grandson, a young nutritionist working in London, asked her one simple question: "Gran, when did you last eat brown rice?" Eileen laughed. "I haven't had that since the 90s, she said. That night they made a simple dinner together: steamed brown rice, roasted vegetables, and grilled trout. And that small shift, adding a slow digesting whole grain to her evening meals, changed everything. Brown rice is not just an alternative to white rice. It's a whole grain rich in B vitamins, especially B1, B3, and B6, all of which support neurotransmitter function and memory retention. It's also one of the few foods that naturally increases GABA production, a calming brain chemical that helps reduce anxiety and support deep sleep. For seniors, this is a double win: clearer thinking during the day, calmer nerves at night. And it's not just anecdotal. A 2020 study from the University of Barcelona found that older adults who consumed whole grains regularly, especially in the evening, scored higher on memory tests and showed lower markers of brain inflammation. Eileen began having brown rice 3 nights a week. She said it wasn't just the food, it was the ritual. She'd set the table with care, light a small candle, and eat slowly while listening to classical music. Within a month, she told us, "My mind feels like it used to: organized, calm, capable." This is the power of elderly reflections. Stories like George's and Eileen's remind us that healing doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes it's in your pantry, sometimes it's in the foods we've forgotten, dismissed, or replaced with shortcuts. And most of all, it's in the way we honor our routines. The simple act of preparing something gentle and nourishing in the evening is a form of self-respect, a message to your body that you still care, that you're still in the fight, that you're still writing your story. So tonight, when you feel tempted to reach for a processed snack, remember George. Remember Eileen. Swap the cookies for a warm half-sweet potato. Trade the toast for a small bowl of brown rice with herbs or olive oil. Don't just eat to fill your stomach. Eat to feed your memory, your heart, and your sense of peace. and we're just getting started. Next, we'll explore two more often overlooked carbs, one commonly mistaken for birdseed, the other dismissed as just a breakfast filler. But they may hold the key to mental sharpness and emotional balance in your golden years. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. If this story has resonated with you so far, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Are you in the US, the UK, Germany, or somewhere else? Your journey matters here. And if you believe in senior health, motivation, and inspiration that lasts, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss a moment of elderly wisdom. Because your next chapter deserves the best tools we've got, and they might just be on your plate. Let me ask you something. When you think about carbs, do you imagine a bowl of sugary cereal, a slice of white bread, or maybe a plate of pasta? That's fair. Most people associate carbs with energy, something to eat before a busy day. But here's the quiet truth that rarely gets told. Certain carbohydrates, when chosen wisely in the calm hours of evening, can do more than fill you up. They can stabilize your heartbeat, they can quiet a restless mind, and if you're over 65, they might be one of your most powerful tools to protect your memory and lengthen your sleep cycles. Earlier, we explored sweet potatoes and brown rice, two nutrient-dense, sleep-supporting foods that help older adults calm their nervous systems and boost mental clarity. But that was only the beginning. Tonight, on Elderly Reflections, your home for senior health, elderly wisdom, and real-life inspiration. We continue this journey with two more bedtime carbs. These next two might surprise you. One is often overlooked as bird food, and the other, well, let's just say it's been hiding in plain sight. Let's dive in. Let's start with a grain that's been used in ancient cultures for centuries, but is now making a quiet comeback in the world of senior nutrition: millet. Now, before you skip ahead thinking, isn't that what birds eat? Stay with me. Millet is a gluten-free whole grain that's high in magnesium, fiber, and something called tryptophan, the same amino acid found in turkey that helps make you sleepy. But what makes millet different is how gentle it is on the digestive system, especially for seniors who may struggle with bloating, blood sugar spikes, or inflammation. When you eat millet as part of your evening meal, it digests slowly, releasing glucose in a steady rhythm that supports serotonin production. That means calmer nerves, steadier mood, and a body that feels safe enough to fall and stay asleep. But this isn't just theory. Let me tell you about Nora, a 69-year-old widow from Sweden, living alone in the countryside after retiring from her career as a school administrator. For months, she struggled with sleep, not falling asleep, but staying asleep. Her doctor suggested medication. Instead, Nora leaned into her roots. Her grandmother used to make warm millet porridge at night with a touch of honey and almond milk. Nora brought that tradition back. Within 3 weeks, she said her sleep was deeper and her dreams had returned, vivid, joyful, and filled with people she hadn't thought of in years. That's not just poetic. That's neurological restoration at work. One 2018 study in the Journal of Food Biochemistry showed that elderly patients who consumed millet regularly experienced reduced oxidative stress and improved REM sleep cycles. So the next time you walk past the millet section at your grocery store, don't overlook it. A warm bowl before bed, maybe with cinnamon or stewed apples, could become your secret weapon for a peaceful night. Now let's talk about something even more familiar and even more misunderstood: oats. Yes, good old-fashioned oats. Not the instant kind filled with sugar and artificial flavors. I'm talking about steel-cut or rolled oats. Slow-burning, fiber-rich, and incredibly nourishing for the aging brain. Here's what makes unique. They're one of the few plant-based sources of beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber that helps regulate blood sugar and cholesterol. But more importantly for us tonight, oats help increase the production of melatonin and promote insulin sensitivity, two major factors in sleep health and memory consolidation. Seniors often deal with erratic blood sugar during the night, which can cause nighttime waking, anxiety, or even vivid nightmares. A small bowl of warm oats before bed, with just a sprinkle of seeds or banana, can keep blood sugar stable and help the body sleep into deeper, more restorative sleep. I want to introduce you to Joseph, 74, a retired firefighter from Boston. Strong hands, clear voice, but lately, foggy memory. He started noticing little lapses, forgetting why he entered a room, losing track of time during conversations. His wife, a former nurse, noticed his anxiety about it, but instead of pushing pills, she asked him to change one thing. Every evening, 90 minutes before bed, she made him a bowl of warm oats with chia seeds and half a banana. Nothing complicated, But over the course of 6 weeks, Joseph started feeling more like himself again. He told me, "I didn't just sleep better. I remembered my dreams, and more than that, I remembered my confidence." And he's not alone. Research from Harvard Medical School in 2021 found that older adults who regularly consumed low glycemic carbohydrates in the evening, like oats and legumes, had better memory recall and less sleep disruption compared to those who ate simple sugars or refined snacks. What's more, oats have a calming effect on the gut, which is now widely considered the second brain. A healthy gut leads to balanced transmitters, better mood, and improved mental clarity. So the next time you're hungry after dinner, skip the crackers. A small warm bowl of oats might be exactly what your body is asking for. Let's take a step back for a moment. What do millet and oats have in common with sweet potatoes and brown rice? They're not trendy, they're not flashy. They don't appear on celebrity diets or flashy social media reels. But they've stood the test of time. Why? Because they work. And when you combine these foods with intentional nighttime rituals, turning off the screens, dimming the lights, sitting quietly with a warm spoon in hand, you're not just feeding your body. You're sending a message: I'm not giving up on myself. In a world obsessed with youth, the wisdom of the elderly too often goes unnoticed. But here on Elderly Reflections, we believe in honoring that wisdom. We believe in the quotes that stay with you, the motivation that carries you, and the small nightly choices that build toward big, beautiful change. These carbs, millet and oats, are not about indulgence. They're about support. They're about giving your brain and your heart the tools they need to serve you longer, stronger, and with more clarity. And the journey isn't over. Coming up, we'll uncover the final 2 bedtime carbs that support your independence, reduce inflammation, and may even lower your risk of cognitive decline. One of them is a tiny seed with ancient roots. The other, a surprising twist that blends memory support with emotional healing. Don't miss what's coming next. But before we go, I want to hear your voice. Where are you watching from? Are you in North America, the UK, Scandinavia, or somewhere else around the world? Drop it in the comments. Your presence matters here. And if this message has touched you, I invite you to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Here at Elderly Reflections, we're not just sharing information, we're building a movement. One rooted in dignity, in community, and in the kind of elderly wisdom that changes lives. There's a moment in every evening, sometime after dinner, when the house grows quiet. The phone stops ringing, the lights dim, and all that's left is you, your thoughts, and the rhythm of your body preparing for rest. For many seniors, this is the most vulnerable time of the day. When aches feel sharper, memories feel farther away, and the mind often refuses to settle. But what if in that quiet moment, you had the power to shape how your body heals and how your brain remembers? What if you could feed your future, one bite at a time? So far, we've explored 4 powerful carbs: sweet potatoes, brown rice, millet, and oats, that help restore deep sleep and support memory after age 65. But there are still 2 more you need to know about. And the last one, well, it may surprise you. Here on Elderly Reflections, where elderly wisdom, senior health, and life lessons from the elderly guide every story we share, we're closing this loop, not just with knowledge, but with a sense of purpose. Let me introduce you to tonight's 5th bedtime carb, quinoa. Yes, technically it's a seed, but it behaves like a grain. And for our purposes, it's one of the best carbs you can eat in the evening. What makes quinoa so special? It's the only plant-based carb that contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein. That means it doesn't just help you sleep, it helps rebuild your brain and muscles while you rest. It's rich in magnesium, which supports deep, uninterrupted sleep, and iron, which helps oxygenate the brain, something that becomes even more important as we age. But there's another reason quinoa stands out. It supports something called neurogenesis. That's your brain's ability to grow new cells, even after 70, even after setbacks. Let me share a story. Susan, 81 years old, lives in rural British Columbia. A retired poet and former university lecturer, Susan once had a memory like a steel trap. But after a minor stroke, her recall faltered. She found herself searching for words mid-sentence, forgetting poems she'd taught for decades. Her daughter, a holistic therapist, began preparing quinoa salads in the evening, lightly tossed with olive oil, chopped herbs, and steamed vegetables. It wasn't magic, it wasn't immediate, but over time, Susan began reciting poems again. The fog began to lift. She wrote to us, "I'm not trying to become the woman I was. I'm becoming the woman I still am." Her neurologist later told her that the combination of physical therapy and nutritional support particularly quinoa and omega-3 rich oils, was helping rewire her brain. A 2019 study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that older adults who included quinoa in their weekly meals showed better verbal fluency and higher emotional regulation compared to those who didn't. That's not just a coincidence, it's food working with biology. And if you eat quinoa in the evening, especially when paired with calming herbs or greens, you're feeding both your gut and your brain with nutrients that support regeneration, not just maintenance. Now let's close this trilogy with something different, something emotional, something overlooked. The sixth and final carb I want to talk about tonight is barley. Not flashy, not trendy. In fact, it's often considered old-fashioned. But if you want to support your heart, your brain, and even your emotional well-being, barley might be the quiet hero you've been missing. Barley is incredibly rich in beta-glucan, a form of soluble fiber that helps balance cholesterol, regulate blood sugar, and feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut. That alone is worth paying attention to. But what truly sets barley apart is how it supports something most seniors struggle with in silence: emotional stability. You see, when your gut microbiome is balanced, your brain receives more serotonin, and serotonin isn't just a happy chemical. It's the regulator of mood, memory, sleep, and even decision-making. Let me tell you about Ruth, 86 years old, born in Dublin, now living in Chicago. Ruth lost her husband 3 years ago. Since then, she's kept to herself, spending most evenings alone. She told us she felt gray inside. Her appetite dropped, her sleep grew lighter, her memory faded. Her neighbor, a retired dietitian, noticed and began bringing over small bowls of barley soup in the evening. Warm, simple, filled with vegetables and herbs. Ruth began eating again. Not just the soup, but life. She said, "The food reminded me that I was still here." Her sleep improved, her mood lifted, and her sense of presence, the ability to feel the moment, returned. And that's the lesson, isn't it? Healing doesn't always start with a diagnosis. Sometimes it begins with a bowl, a spoon, a quiet act of nourishment, a choice to believe that your best days don't have to be behind you. A 2022 paper from the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed what Ruth showed us. Seniors who ate barley-rich meals 3 to 4 times a week experienced significant improvements in cortisol balance. That's your stress hormone, and reported fewer mood swings and anxiety sleep disturbances. You don't need much. Just a small cup of barley before bed, cooked with broth or water, maybe with a little parsley or garlic. It's not just food, it's a signal, a declaration: I still matter, I'm still writing my story. Let's bring this all together. You now have 6 simple, powerful carbs to choose from in your evening routine. Sweet potatoes, brown rice, millet, oats, quinoa, and barley. Each one supports sleep. Each one supports memory, but more importantly, each one supports you, the version of you that deserves to feel rested, clear, and fully present. And you don't have to eat all 6 at once. Pick 2 or 3 that resonate, rotate them through the week, and most of all, make the process a ritual. Something you do for yourself, not out of habit, but out of respect. Let me leave you with this. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the quiet decisions, the 10-minute meal prep, the choice to sit in stillness, the belief that your best years are still being written. Here on Elderly Reflections, we believe in motivation, in quotes that carry weight, and in inspiration born from real life. We believe that senior health is not about chasing youth, it's about embracing wisdom and using that wisdom to craft evenings that heal, not just end. So tonight, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? What bedtime carb will you try first? Quinoa, barley, or maybe sweet potatoes again? Tell me in the comments, and if this series has spoken to you, if it's reminded you of your strength, your wisdom, or your worth, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell. Because every time you show up here, you're not just watching, you're participating in a movement. One where elderly reflections become powerful tools for change. One where your voice, your journey, and your health still matter. Here's to your heart, here's to your memory, and here's to the small, beautiful choices that carry us. Even in the quiet of night,